Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the All Portable Discussion Zone. It's a bi-weekly live stream all about amateur radio portable ops. My name is Charlie. Call sign is November Juliet 7 Victor. And with me this morning is our guest, Brian N2BTD. And welcome, Brian.
Good morning to everyone.
Also, Dan should be along shortly. He's having computer problems, having to reboot a couple times, it sounds like, but he's the co-host and he'll be joining us. Brian, who hasn't been with us for Brian Betts, W7JET, who hasn't been with us for a while, is still doing his new job as an airline pilot and hasn't had time to join us of late. Of course, as usual, we have you guys in chat. We really appreciate you being there. Go ahead and make sure you ask questions if you have them. Just drop them in the chat, and we will be sure to answer them. And let's see, what else do we got? Oh, just remember that if that this is a podcast as well, we convert this into a podcast about 24 hours after the show, so you can find that on most of your podcast players. And so let's get caught up with what's been going on the last little bit between Brian and I, and then Dan when he joins us. So for me, I have not really done a whole lot since in the last couple of weeks. I've done one POTA SOTA activation, and it wasn't even a POTA combo. I like to do the combos quite a bit, but this was just a SOTA. It was in town, and I did live stream on that one actually. And other than that, I've not really been up to too much. I have got plans to go to Florida. And I was just debating just before this live stream as to whether or not I'm going to take my radio there and see if I can find a park. I don't know if I'll have time or not, but that would be kind of cool to take maybe just the MTR3B and see if I can get a few things. But with that, Brian, welcome to the show. What have you been up to of late?
Well, mostly hunting parks. Have activated a few. To be honest, I just actually started trying out FT8 for the first time. I've pretty much been a sideband operator my whole life, and decided to buy one of those inexpensive $60 laptops that everybody's been buying, and hooked it up, and been running a little bit of FT8 here and there, but still sideband is going to be my favorite, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, let's get going here. Let me just acknowledge we've got quite a few people in the chat room, and some of them you may know, some of you may not. I don't know if you have that up where you can see.
Yes, I do.
But if there's anybody there that you recognize, go ahead and you can say hi to them. And if not, we'll just go ahead and move on to where you're from originally. Just let's get to know you a little bit better about get a little background from you.
Okay, well, I'm born and raised in New York. I've lived in Rockland County here, where I currently reside all my life, and married. Have twin 12-year-old girls, and it's a beautiful suburb of New York City, and really enjoy it here.
Cool. All right. And can you tell us what you do for a living? Some people can.
Yeah, I actually get paid to talk on the radio. I'm a 911 dispatcher for my local police department and ambulance corps. I've been there for 15 years.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. That's a good job, but actually high stress at times, right?
It can be, but you learn to deal with it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's you mentioned FT8. Why don't we just start there? There's a guy. We got Mike in the chat. I don't know if you know Mike or not. Where is his thing here? He says just a quick 40 meter FT8 activation on 6532 about an hour ago. I've not ever used FT8 at this point. I plan to. So tell us a little bit about what you have set up, maybe your radio, your gear, and kind of how you do FT8 and your other stuff. Just kind of give us a rundown for hunting anyway.
Okay, well, for hunting, I at the house I have an ICOM 7300, and I have two antennas up right now. I have a dipole about for 40 meters strung in the backyard, and also have a 128-foot end fed that runs from my deck about 75 foot up into a tree, and then about another 50 feet down the other side of the tree. Wow. So those are my two primary antennas right now. I did purchase a hex beam which I hope to get up in the near future. But
Yeah.
right now it hasn't been assembled. So right now we're just running 2 wires.
I would love to have a hex beam myself. Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay, so what about for activating?
Okay, for activating, right now I'm primarily just a mobile operator. So in the car, I run a Kenwood 480, and originally I had just installed one ham stick on the vehicle. I have a Ford Explorer, but getting out and changing that ham stick to a different band over and over and over got to be a little annoying, as you can imagine. So even though it looks really ridiculous, I installed a second mount on my Ford Explorer. So I primarily run 40 meters on the driver's side, and I have a 20-meter stick on the passenger side. And I also keep sticks for pretty much all the other bands in the car when I'm out activating, so I could do multiple bands just by changing them. And I have the tram quick disconnects for them as well, so I can get the antennas on and off the mounts within 3 seconds.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So would you say for your park activating experiences, you would mostly do 20 and 40, one or the other, or both, or what do you do?
I primarily always do 20 and 40. And then depending upon what time of day I'm activating, I may do different bands. At night, I may do 80. And during the daytime, as long as the conditions are okay, I'll do 17, 15. Haven't had so much luck on 12 or 10, but hopefully in the next, year or two, we'll have, better openings on those bands as well.
Yeah, cool. All right, and then of course when you're chasing, you it's all every which band, right? But what do you primarily chase on? What do you find?
Primarily, it's 20 and 40. But of course, if I see something, that I need, or a friend activating on 17 or 15 or whatever, I'll go and tune and see if we can't make the connection.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, so Stu says I've done FT8 from a park once and it was fun. I shall try again. Yeah. How much have you done from FT8?
Well, I have not activated on FT8 yet because obviously the 7300 has everything built into it. So basically just hooking up a laptop and making sure all the settings are there. It's quite easy from the house. But, with the 480 in the car, I would have to buy additional things to make that happen. So maybe, an FT8 activation in the near future. We'll see.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into ham radio, and maybe even also after that, how you got into Parks on the Air?
Absolutely. So believe it or not, I started out on the CB in the 80s. One of my neighbors, the father was a trucker. Obviously he had a CB in his car and they had a CB in the house. So I would often go over there and, we would kind of play around on the CB. And then eventually I decided to get my own CB and, made a lot of friends locally. Just to hang out with people on the local CB. And then a bunch of us who were kind of involved in the fire service as well, decided, the CB was enough. Let's get our license and, enjoy, 2 meter and 70 centimeters. So in the mid 90s, went out and got my technician no code license, and enjoyed that for a little while. And then finally they opened up, 10 meters to the technician no code license holders, and, started to dabble in 10 meters a little bit. Once I started working different countries, the DX bug kind of bit me. And I remained a tech no code for a very long time. And then 10 meters has been literally dead for, many years with the cycle. So finally last year, I decided, my New Year's resolution for 2021 was going to start studying for my general and I thought I was ready in February, but it was difficult to find an in-person place to take the test.
Right.
So
Yeah.
finally, I found the Yonkers Amateur Radio Club, which is across the river for me in Westchester County. They were giving a test on March 13th of 2021. So I signed up for the test. They only allowed 4 of us in the room to test due to COVID. And luckily, I walked out of there and had passed my test, and literally immediately drove home. At the time, like I said, I only had a 40-meter dipole strung in the backyard at that time, but immediately turned on the radio and started scanning around at 40 meters and see what we could do.
Cool. Well, so Mark, a good friend of mine. Well, we've never met, but I feel like I know him really well. KG6LI. Who has a great YouTube channel as well. He asked what your CB handle is.
You're really going to go there? My CB handle was Iceman.
Iceman. That's great. I didn't get to choose mine. Obviously, as a lot of people, they don't get to choose. Somebody else does it for them. And when I was in CB, it was actually before in high school. Mine was a carrot top, just because I had really flaming red hair. So that's pretty cool. Okay, well, what about Parks on the Air? What happened there? How'd that get going?
So, like I said, I upgraded to my general on March 13th of 2021, and I only had the 40-meter dipole strung in the backyard. I used it primarily just to, listen on the shortwave bands, because obviously I couldn't transmit anywhere else besides 10 meters. So I came home not really knowing what to expect on 40 meters. And I happened to be scanning around, and I literally just heard this guy calling, CQ Parks on the Air. And I was like, what is Parks on the Air? But I decided to, give him a call. So after a few calls of November 2 Bravo Tango Delta stroke Alpha Golf, he answered me and, gave me the report and congratulated me on my upgrade. And, I logged the contact, and I said, okay, maybe there's a couple other Parks on the Air. So I just kept scanning around, not knowing anything about Parks on the Air or the POTA website or anything. And, lo and behold, I found a few others on my own, and then, checked a couple of the DX clusters and found a few more that way. It was like that for a few days before actually finding, the POTA website and registering and,
And then you're like, wow, I've got stuff already in here and I didn't even do anything. Right?
Yeah. So that's kind of how it all started. Like I said, just upgrading, coming home, working my first couple of parks, and then registering, and, been interested in it ever since.
Cool. And let me pause here real quick. Dennis, a friend of mine, 86DM, says that Coffee and Ham Radio sent him. And then there's several other people also who said that that's the case. So thank you to Coffee and Ham Radio for sending everybody this way. Dennis also says to Mike Kenner, how do you pronounce that? Kennernecht, that he has lots of POTA on his Twitter. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if you know him, but I don't really know him. So, but that's kind of leads me to my next question, which is, tell me a little bit about the community. Well, first of all, let me back up just a minute. So you got into POTA. When was it that you first did your first contact in POTA? How long ago?
So that was, like I said, the day I upgraded, which was March 13th of 2021, was my first POTA contact. And then it was another month and a half to 2 months before I actually got a radio installed in my vehicle, and had a ham stick ready to go, because I've lived in this house for 6 years, and prior to that I lived in a condo, so I wasn't able to put up any type of antennas. So I've been portable or mobile for as long as many years. I've pretty much lived out of the car on radio. So I had taken everything out once 10 meters kind of died on us, And then, once I upgraded, it was like, got to get the radio back in the car, got to get a new antenna mount for different bands. And so about 2 months later, I guess May was when I first activated for POTA as well.
Okay, cool. All right, so let me just pause here real quick. So Mike, maybe I do know you. I think I do actually. I apologize. Kenner Connect. That's how you pronounce his name. And yes, I do know you, Mike. I really like your Twitter posts. You have a lot of stuff out there, and I appreciate you being on today. So back to my other question I was going to ask you. Before I ask you that, let's take a look at something here. I'm going to bring up. I share my screen and show the audience something here real quick. And that's this right here.
November 2, Bravo Tango Delta from Park Kilo 1061 in the beautiful state of Arizona, QRZ. Okay, Kilo Delta 0, Yankee Sierra Delta. I have you 5555 into Park Kilo 1061 in Arizona, Roger.
I copy all. You're 55 also into Kilo 91. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the park to park. 7-3. Have a great day.
Yeah, 7-3. I'm glad you got a radio down there.
Yeah, I'm glad I got a radio too. I owe a great debt to a friend out here. 7-3. Have a great day.
That's
November 5, Hotel Alpha. Good morning. You're 5 to 5, 55, Ken.
Yeah, Brian. Sorry to hear about your father. You're 5-9 Louisiana. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for the 5-9 Louisiana, Ken. 7-3, and have a great day. Kilo Bravo 2, Foxtrot, Mike Hotel. Good morning, James.
I'm very happy to be spotted in AD finally. I know it's been a rough attempt at getting you there, so that's terrific. Can't wait for the loss.
Yeah, you're 5-7 here, James. 57, Roger.
57, 75, 112. What's the difference?
Well, good to get you in the log, James, and I'll be sending you the log tomorrow, Roger.
All right, buddy. Have fun and enjoy the trip. Safe travel home. KB2FMA, 7-3 for now, Brian.
All right. So tell us a little bit about, or I can tell you, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what was going on there?
Well, last year I had to head out to Arizona to bury my father. Unfortunately, he lived in Mesa, Arizona. And, I've been really involved with POTA almost from the beginning of upgrading. And, one of the things is, trying to activate as many unique parks as you can and, unique states. So, my father was always supportive of me and my radio. Believe it or not, I did try to live out in Arizona back in the mid-90s. I tried to live out there with him. He was living in St. David, Arizona at the time. And there was literally nothing to do. I couldn't find a job. I didn't have a car. But I did have a radio set up there for a little while. So he's always supportive of my radio. So when I went out there to bury him with my siblings, my goal was to activate at least one park out in Arizona and put out a bunch of different feelers out there for who might be able to assist me in getting a park on the air because I didn't want to bring, any equipment and I don't even own a battery to activate to do a portable activation on my own. So Charlie, November Juliet 7 Victor, our host here, was kind enough to drive to my sister's house in Mesa and pick me up and drive me out to the park. And we both were able to activate. Charlie did a little sideband, but primarily CW, and I was all voice. And, we were only there for an hour or so, but it totally made my trip. It really did. And really appreciate the fact that Charlie got me on the air in Arizona.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? I have to say it was one of the most memorable experiences for me, and it's because I got to meet you, and it was an honor to meet you. And that's kind of what the crux of this question is tell me a little bit about the POTA community. And the reason I asked that question is because if for those of you who are watching the video, you may not have picked up on this, but man, if you were there, almost every single person he talked to, it was like, "Hey, Brian, buddy, how you doing? Long time no talk." It's like he knew everybody, and so I thought it was amazing. And of course, our relationship is, I mean, we don't know each other well, but we've met each other at least, and are pretty good friends, I would say. So tell me a little bit about the community for Parks on the Air.
I don't think the POTA community is unique per se. I think you have this camaraderie no matter what the community is. Summits on the air, islands on the air. I think you have a common bond between operators that hunt different things. I hunt anything unique. I hunt summits. I hunt islands, castles. I don't care what it is. If it's something unique, I'm interested in it. So, I have friends in each community. But POTA, maybe because it's the newest one, and maybe because there are a lot of people involved and there are a lot of parks to activate. It seems like there's more and more people jumping on the POTA bandwagon or whatever you want to call it. But it's a family, and it's a great group of people, especially fellow activators or even hunters. There's hunters I can almost depend on every time I'm activating, even if it's at 11 o'clock at night when I get out of work. They're there and they're calling me. So it's a great group, and I really appreciate all the friendships locally and internationally that I've made through POTA.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, Stu says, I love having Brian call into my activations, and he does a thumbs up. And then I'm not sure I know who Run to the Music Hello is, but he says that KF4RB.
Yeah, that's Ringo. Ringo in Florida. He's another POTA operator who recently got his wife into POTA, which thank you for that, Ringo. Glad to have a new member of the community.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of people know you. Let me just pause here real quick and get Dan on here to say hi. How you doing, Dan?
Hi. Sorry, I'm a little late here. Thank you, Microsoft.
little computer problems, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, just I wanted to acknowledge that you're with the group now. So I'll turn some time over to you, ask some questions here in just a minute. All right.
All right.
Anything going on lately that you want to share with the group?
Nothing new. Did an activation a week or so ago, and we'll be out together actually next weekend, next Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yep. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next thing I wanted to share with the group that's watching. Now, again, you guys watching either live or later on, keep in mind, Brian said that he just got involved in Parks on the Air in 2021. Or it was, did you say May, Brian?
Yeah, May of 2021.
2021. Okay, so what's unbelievable to me is in that amount of time, he has been super involved. And so let me just share another screen with you. This right here is his page on Parks on the Air. And if you can look at all of his awards he has there, it's amazing. There are a lot of pieces of recognition there, and some of them are quite significant. And so I'd like to give you just a minute to point out maybe 2 or 3 of your most memorable or awards, or the awards that maybe mean the most to you of these that you've got here.
Okay, no problem, Charlie. Yeah, I mean the awards I'm most proud of are probably I've worked all states on POTA. Which was hard. Hawaii took me quite a while to get it. POTA has a wild card for Washington, D.C., which, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of. So when theoretically you've worked 49 states plus D.C., you get the award. But, that wasn't good enough for me. I had to get that last station in Hawaii, which literally it took me a good year to get it. So finally we're able to do that. And even though there is not an award for it yet, I'm hoping they will add it in the future. I actually just completed POTA, park to park worked all states.
Wow.
I needed Hawaii was the last state I needed for a park to park. And for those that are not familiar with what we're talking about, is when you're at a park and you work another operator in a park, they call it park to park. So I don't know if anybody else has done that yet, or if they have, how many have done it. But obviously, if it's hard enough to do from your home as a hunter, to do it from a park, I think is pretty amazing too. And I was thankfully able to get a park to park with Hawaii at like 11:30 at night when I get out of work, and that was exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. And on that, Mark says, great accomplishments. It's a struggle just to get 10 contacts here on the West Coast at times.
Yep.
And Dennis says, POTA P2P WAS. That's awesome. And then, lots of acronyms too.
Yeah, like I said, the worked all states is hard enough, but getting the park to park worked all states, I really didn't think it would happen, but amazingly enough, there was a station in Hawaii that was coming in, 5-1, 5-3, and we were able to make the connection. So it really made my night.
Cool. Any others on this list?
Yeah, well, recently I just crossed the 5,000 unique parks hunted. So very proud of that. I think there's less than 25 people that have worked, 5,000 parks or more. I think the number one guy is over 9,000, and that's
over a much longer time than you have, right?
Of course, but probably since the inception of POTA. But it's a lot of time dedicated to it, whether it's at the house or I hunt from the car too. I'll just check the POTA app and see what's active and see what kind of contacts we can make running errands or on the way home from work or whatever it may be.
Yeah, Stu says that's 4,700 more than him. Okay, one more thing here on your accomplishments, and then we'll get into some of the questions on how to help fellow POTA guys. So let's see. Let me share my screen one more time. Share screen, make sure audio's on, and share that. So let's go back over to here and listen to this for a minute.
But having said that,
oh wait, hold on, just a minute. What is this this screen that I have up? These are some guys that are giving out awards. Can you talk just a little bit about what they were doing?
Yeah, so this is the awards live awards ceremony that POTA had for the summer Support Your Parks weekend. They have a Support Your Parks weekend 4 times a year during the different seasons, but the summer Support Your Parks on the Air is basically the big contest for POTA where you can actually win plaques or awards. I did participate in that last year, and surprisingly, I won a plaque for most voice contacts as a hunter in 2021 with 386. Not even going, just being active when I could. Like I said, I only had a 40-meter dipole strung at the house, so I could only do 40 meters from where I am now, from where my station is. And if I wanted to try and hunt something on 20, I had to run out to the car in the driveway to work a park. So the plaque that I won last year was for most voice contacts as a hunter, and that was 386 contacts. So my goal this year was to, possibly do better than I did last year and, defend the plaque. I mean, if you win a plaque, you kind of want to, try and repeat it or defend it and give your best effort. And this was the announcement of the awards for that contest.
Yep. Okay, here we go.
these total numbers of QSOs are some pretty crazy numbers. So why don't we go ahead and just get into that?
You bet. Yeah, let's look at these big giant piles of QSOs, and we'll start with the hunter side. So most contacts as a hunter, and a club that we're all familiar with from earlier in the evening, K4YTZ, has sponsored this plaque so that it would be available for somebody to win. And this year, just like in the past, we're going to see some pretty familiar call signs at the top of the pile for the big categories, because the people who were making a lot of mode contacts, a lot of DX region contacts, they were on the air a lot this weekend. So all three of these finalists are call signs that you're going to remember from early in the evening. And those are K9GLS, N2BTD, and N3XLS. So should we go to our first Jason, or second Jason, or a Jason? Who?
Let's you can never have enough Jasons. So let's bring in HWB from Ham Radio 2.0 and see who rose to the top of the QSO mountain.
Thank you, Matt and Vance, for the introduction. Guys, my name is Jason. I'm KC5HWB. I run a channel on YouTube called Ham Radio 2.0, and I'm very excited to announce the winner of the 2022 Parks on the Air plaque event for the most contacts for a hunter station. Let's look and see what the envelope says. See the camera get darker there. Envelope, please. It's not me. The winner for this year for the most hunted contacts for the Support Your Parks on the Air weekend is Brian Duddy, November 2, Bravo Tango Delta. Congratulations, Brian. It was an honor to be able to read that to you guys. And now back to Matt and Vince.
All righty. You get your marker out. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. He's the...
All right, we'll just stop there. What I wanted to, I'll give you a chance, Brian, to elaborate on what they were just going to say. So this award is, you said you had how many the first time you did this? You won this award like last year and had.
I won one plaque last year, like I said, for most voice contacts as a hunter. Yeah. So only sideband, and that was 386.
Yeah.
This year, I dedicated a lot more time to the contest, and my winning total was 911.
Yeah, very good. And for this one, was this the one we were talking about, or was this one different? Because it says right here that you won 4 awards for this event, right?
Yeah, it was. I basically won. Every plaque that I could win as a hunter in the voice category. The only ones I didn't win were CW and digital.
Yeah.
Never expecting that, or that wasn't the goal. The goal was just to, like I do every day, enjoy POTA, enjoy hunting. I did not activate this year, but just enjoy it. And I really did. And I really appreciate all the people that went out and, activated. Some guys activated over 60 parks. And I worked them from a majority of them, luckily enough, which helped me win, the plaques.
Yeah. Stu says that you need a bigger shelf.
I might need to put an addition on, Stu.
And Mike says he absolutely crushed it on POTA plaque event. Yeah, you did, didn't you? So.
Yeah, like I said, but it was fun, and and even if I didn't win anything, it still would have been just as fun.
Yeah.
And part of it, the excitement is, I know how well I did, and I know there were other guys out there that were hunting just as much as I did. I had no clue how they were doing, and like I said, I kind of have a disadvantage just being a voice operator, maybe, because other guys are doing FT8 and CW when, there's a park that they need on there. And, I have no clue how well they're doing. So it's, it's a month of suspense before they announce the winners there live on the internet. So it was a crazy evening on the couch with my twin daughters waiting, for them things to be announced.
Yeah. Well, and I like what you said too, because yes, you went out there and you tried to do your best, which is what anybody would do, or what we try to do anyway. But you mentioned that it was about that, but it was more about just having fun, and doing and bettering your personal goal. It wasn't like you were necessarily competing with other people, although you were. But for you, it was I hit this many people and this or this many contacts. So this next year, now I want to hit this many more contacts. And I think that's what it's all about. Whether it's Parks on the Air, SOTA, whatever it is, it's less about the competition and more about your personal achievements and trying to better those personal achievements and having fun and enjoying the outdoors. And that's where I think I would agree with you, and I think everybody else agrees that that's where the crux of all this takes place, and why people do it.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not out there having fun, what's the point of it? You have to have fun, and make the friendships, because even though we may never meet, I still consider a lot of these guys my friends, because I talk to them so often.
Yeah. Dan, we'll get to you in just a second, and I'll give you an opportunity to ask a few questions. Mark asks, he says, Brian's wife is licensed, and does she go on activations? So,
no, she's not licensed. In fact, she dislikes the radio very much. without going any further than that, she does not like the radio at all.
Yeah, she has to. Yeah, like my wife says that. She calls my radio the mistress. Because she has to compete with the mistress all the time. Anyway, let's see. So KF4RB is going out to do a summit, so he's going to drop off probably. And then QRP Life brings up a question. I hope I can work N2BTD when I activate someday, although I tend to be more on CW than when I activate. So so that brings up the question: is there any interest at all in doing SOTA summits on Morse code for you?
So yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to, like I said, I'm not opposed to digital modes. I'm not opposed to CW. I think my primary goal was to get my general. Now I think my next goal is I need to get my extra. I am very frustrated that there are so many activators out there that activate in the extra portion of the band. And yeah. I understand sometimes the bands do get crowded, especially when there's contesting and everything going on. You have to find a clear frequency, and it may be in that portion of the band. But I just think alienating operators from hunting by activating in the extra portion of the band, it's not something I believe in. So I'm going to force myself to start studying for the extra, and hopefully we can get that, and then CW will be the next one on top of that.
Yeah. Cool. Good goals. So Mark says he takes his wife on every activation, and her nagging seems to scare off the mountain lions. And this is greetings from Montego Bay, Jamaica. Hey, very interesting subject. Thanks for joining us from Montego Bay. Appreciate it. H06Y5. Cool. And then my wife tells me, please go mess with your radio and leave me alone. It's almost 40 years of marriage. So very good. All right. Dan, take it away. You have any questions?
Yeah, I was kind of curious. So especially, it seems like in the last 2 months here, maybe I was just paying better attention to it, but I'm hearing a lot more people that are, you hear the term Parks on the Air after hours. So can you tell us what that is? And it seems to be gaining a lot more steam.
Yeah, well, the Parks on the Air has you can win. You know, there's a lot of different awards you can win, and one of the awards you can win is for what they call the late shift. So the late shift starts at 0000 UTC. That's 8 p.m. for me here on the East Coast, and it goes until 8 a.m. or 1200 UTC the next day. So for every contact that you make between 0000 and 1200, it counts towards this late shift award. There are some people like myself, like 1 week I work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then the next week I work 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So sometimes when I get out of work at 11 p.m., I will just drive to one of my local parks. I actually have a park 3 minutes from my house that I've activated over 120 times in the last year. And, I'll just sit there and do, 20 meters, 40 meters, maybe 80 meters and, try and work as many as I can. You'd be surprised at what kind of conditions you have that late at night. So I call it the night owl shift. 11 p.m. I'm getting out of work. I do the night owl shift. Some other people call it parks in the dark because it's completely black. They're activating a park and they're pretty much the only one there. So yeah, there's a couple of different terms for it, but it's usually late night activations after hours.
Okay. Yeah, I would imagine too that back in the East Coast and Midwest and stuff. At least I'm from Michigan originally, so I remember this about Michigan. And in Arizona, we've only got 33 state parks. I mean, we have a lot of other national monuments and parks as well, but with 33 state parks and they're kind of dispersed around, so it's not a quick drive to get to any of them from Phoenix except for really one. That you have a lot better choice and availability to get to parks and see a lot of different ones as well.
Yeah, I am very fortunate. I have a dozen parks that are within 15, 20 minutes of my house. So that is fortunate for me. Other people do have to drive quite far distances to activate. And, I'm sure it takes a toll on them, those long drives, and certainly on the gas tank.
Yeah, it's really nice if you got a bunch of parks close by. So, definitely some of the pictures and things like that you see on Twitter feeds and things like that of people operating and where they're at. It's really nice back there. I kind of miss all the lushness that we don't have here. There's some really great places here in Arizona, but you kind of miss that when you're from the Midwest originally. So,
I mean, I think every state has its own unique park system. And I always enjoy seeing pictures that other operators take from their activations. And I try and take pictures as well. I took plenty of pictures when Charlie and I were out in the desert and videos and whatever. And I always enjoy sharing, the reports from those activations, especially out of state.
Yeah. All right. Let's. So Mike and Mark have a couple questions, but we'll get to those and have you answer them. Mike talks about POTA and SOTA, and Mark is about the beaches. But before we get there, let me make sure I don't lose focus on what we have you here for, and talk a little bit about what you think some common mistakes are people make for POTA, and then maybe some tips you'd give others to improve their Parks on the Air participation.
Okay. Well, I think one of the mistakes sometimes people make is not spotting themselves. It's very difficult to have a successful activation without spotting yourself. So I know that there are some parks in my area where the cell service is a little bit difficult. So I think if you're going to do a park or any type of activation where you're going to have spotty cell service, you kind of have to pick a frequency before going into it and at least spot yourself saying, hey, I'll be active on this frequency in another 10 or 15 minutes. Don't wait till you get to a park where you have no cell service, where you're unable to spot yourself, and then you're basically calling CQ, parks on the air, and there's no one there to answer you, and it may take you 20, 30 minutes before somebody scanning the band finally finds you and is familiar with what parks on the air is, and then is able to spot you. So I think that maybe that advice is be familiar with your park. Make sure you know if you have cell service there, and if you don't, then try and spot yourself 10, 15 minutes prior, to activating the park when you do have cell service.
Yeah, so you mentioned that. That's a great one. Even for SOTA, same thing. So spot yourself. You mentioned, if possible, try to stay on the general band instead of going into the extra. Okay, what else is there?
I think, being a portable operator is it's all a learning curve. So, you find what works best for you. Right now, for me, it's operating out of a vehicle. I do want to, get a portable setup of some sort, a battery and an antenna, and just do your research. There's plenty of great YouTube videos on antennas, and, find one that, one, you can afford, and, two, that, you're not going to have great difficulty assembling and putting it up, doing your portable activation. Maybe a small footprint is what I'm saying.
Cool. All right. What about for a hunter? What mistakes or advice, or what tips would you give hunting?
Well, the hunters have it easy. They, hunters can just kind of sit at home. Make sure you register at POTA.app, and just basically watch the spots that are coming in. You can filter them by band if you only have access to a specific band at the house, or you could narrow it down to a specific mode. If you're just a voice operator, or if you're just a CW operator, you could filter it down like that. But register for POTA, and just watch the spots come through, and tune to the frequency, and see if you can hear the activator and work it. Some people do create spreadsheets of the parks that they've worked, and there is a new extension that somebody had created for POTA, where it'll tell you if you it's called POTA Plus. It'll tell you if you've worked the park or not before, whether it's a new one, or if you've hunted it before. So a lot of us hunters that are chasing new ones have downloaded this POTA Plus enhancement, and it really works well.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Stu says you can use a schedule activation page on POTA if you're not going to have internet access. So that's a good suggestion. And then also K0KLB, he says the spotting is key. He's just like you did. He says, yeah, he totally agrees with that, for sure. Before I get to these other questions and to see if Dan has anything else, I wanted to ask you, Dan does have something else. So yeah, but let me ask you something else here real quick. And that is, what about operating and courtesy in operating on the air? Is there anything that people should know or be aware of when it comes to working each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is having patience, and learning the people that you're working, because these call signs will start to become very familiar with you, just like a lot of the activators in our chat here. they're very familiar with my call sign, so they could basically hear a partial of my call in a pileup, and then they'll say, okay, November 2, Bravo Tango Delta, go ahead. So, learning the call signs that are calling you, being patient, and finding a good way to log, whether it's paper or a laptop, or like myself, I use Hammers or HamRS, however you want to call it. I use that on my cell phone, and it makes things easy for me. Just logging into my phone, because I always have my phone with me, and as soon as I'm done with the activation, I can create an ADI file and email it to myself and upload it as soon as I get home. Thank God the POTA developers have allowed us to do self-uploading now, which was a huge step in POTA.
Yeah. What about you have a good perspective because you're a hunter and an activator. What about when you hear or send P2P or park to park? Anything to know there? Is it just dog eat dog, or do people step aside for that? Or what's the philosophy there?
Most operators will, if they work an activator and they hear a park to park calling, I know I do it. I've heard plenty of other operators do it too. They will let the activator know that there is a park to park calling. So most times the activator will say, okay, everybody stand by. The park to park only, go ahead. So we kind of try and give courtesy to those activators that are trying to work another activator. Me personally, if I'm trying to work a park to park, I always give my call sign first and then say park to park after my call sign. This way, hopefully the park to park part of my call trails at the end, and the activator will hear the park to park. He might not hear my call sign because there's so many people calling, but he'll hear the park to park part of it, and will then pick me up. I think there are some operators out there that yell park to park without giving their call sign. I don't think that's really good etiquette. I think you should, at a minimum, give your call sign and then say park to park. But yes, there are plenty of people that will try and help the park to park operators get in and listen for them.
Okay, cool. Let me just recognize real quick QRP Life. He just donated $5. He says, great tips, especially about activating in the general portion of the bat. I'm itching to get out. Catch you guys later. And I still don't know, I don't think, QRP Life's actual name. I always just refer to him as QRP Life. He might have told me once, but I forgot. So at some point, he's going to have to tell me. But we really appreciate you doing that, QRP Life. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get caught up on all the comments. There's actually quite a few comments and questions that we need to get caught up on, but let me just get Dan. I think Dan has another question or two, and then we'll get over to the comments.
Yeah, I guess I really have two here. After you arrive at the park, and how do you go about selecting where you're going to operate from? And then, how do you deal with, park personnel too that may stop by and wonder what's going on and why are you here? And you really can't do that here kind of scenarios.
Yeah, I think personally I try and activate, away from everybody. Like I said, I'm in my vehicle, so it has to be, in a parking spot, but I try and park either on the other end of the lot where maybe there aren't so many vehicles. And then occasionally you're at a park that it's just, there's not a lot of parking and you just have to do it, park where you have to park. Occasionally you do have people coming up and asking, some questions. So, I'll tell the people, to stand by for a moment while I just try and explain it to somebody walking by. Most of my parks, there's plenty of places to go where you're kind of alone, but there's a few where, there are a lot of people that may come over and ask questions, but I always, tell them, I'm an amateur radio operator. I'm here, activating this park, and I'm trying to make contacts with people in different states and people around the world. And a lot of times they're kind of amazed that you could talk to somebody in a different country. But, explaining it to them is probably the best thing. Sometimes they'll stick around for a little bit and listen. Other times they'll just say, okay, thanks, and, walk away.
Yeah, that you kind of answered my second question too, especially with the public. How often do you get those interactions, and do they seem to have any interest in it, or are they like a lot of people nowadays who just say, "Oh, you guys still do that?" I'm amazed.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely those type of questions. You get people that know a little bit of information about it. And then there's some people that, really don't know anything, where you kind of have to explain it a little bit more. But you never know when one of these people may gain interest just from, seeing your activation. So, the more information that you can, give to them, the better.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
So,
true.
Brian, have you done any SOTA activations yet? And perhaps a SOTA POTA would be in order.
Yeah, I have not done any official SOTA activations yet because, like I said, I do everything out of my vehicle. There are a few parks here. There's 3 within, 15 minutes of me, 3 parks that are also valid as summits. So I do want to start doing summits on the air. I'm not really in shape to start climbing any crazy mountains yet. But yes, I definitely would love to be out there as a SOTA operator. I've been hunting SOTA for a lot longer than parks on the air. Primarily, it was just on 10 meters. And one of my most unique contacts, I worked a VK station on a summit on 10 meters. And that was quite exciting for actually both of us. And I want to be able to get out there and do a summit as well. So hopefully I'll be able to buy, one of those LifePo batteries and some type of portable antenna setup. And hopefully you'll hear me from a summit in the near future.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Mark says one of the issues in California is the majority of the parks are beaches, which can be really tough to access in the summer. Yeah, isn't that the truth, huh? And then Gary.
Yeah, I definitely feel.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said I definitely feel for him. That must be difficult.
Yeah. Gary, K7UOU, he's out our way. He also has twin girls, by the way. He said it would be great if some of the preserves could be included in POTA parks. Yeah, the preserves, some of them aren't.
Yeah, I think that at least here in the United States, there's kind of a moratorium of adding parks. We have over 9,000, so that's quite a large number of parks to be activated. And they've added wildlife management areas, and a lot in Pennsylvania have come up like that. So eventually those things may be added. I think POTA is concentrating on adding more countries to the to their what's going on. So I think that's also great as well. Introducing POTA in different countries, I think that's a great way to grow it because it's definitely gaining interest worldwide.
Yeah. You're seeing more and more outside of the United States. Mark says for the QRP operators, it helps a ton if others spot us too. And I'm sure that happens in the POTA side, right? For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Stu says, be polite and patient, or those are in reference to the important ways to operate and keep yourself keep yourself courteous. And then he says the new self upload is awesome. And I have to agree. I've used that and it is great. And then
Sorry, Charlie. Yeah, I was just going to say that the fact that you can now upload your own log is is really great. I mean, before that you had to email your log to a coordinator for your area, and they were just having to do hundreds of logs on a daily basis. So the fact that each operator can upload their own log is really great.
Yeah, and I cannot imagine the amount of work and time spent for all those people who volunteered to support this program and upload all those logs and trying to get them done while having a job, having their own family and everything else. Hats off to them. They did a great job for a lot of years, and I'm glad that they kind of get a break now.
Yep, I agree. So he also says he agrees with the way you do it, call sign and then park to park. That was Stu again. And then the next is from Kevin. He says, look at the POTA spotter page before you start to see what frequencies are in use, so we don't activate on top of or too close to activate frequency active frequency causing QRM. Yeah, QRM can be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that happens on 20 meters occasionally, where people are picking a frequency that's only 1 kilohertz away from another POTA activator. So yeah, that is absolutely great advice. Just take a look at the POTA app page, see who's active on the band that you want to be active on, and try and find a frequency that doesn't interfere with that other operator. That's great advice.
Yep. And then Greg says, what mobile app do you use? And Stu answers, HamRS. For me personally, I think that's the best one out there. Although you have to pay $5, I would say it's worth the $5 and more.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what I would do without Hammers. It's you could log. You could use it to log summits on the air, or just as a general log as a portable operator. But for POTA, which I think it was really built for, it's really a great, easy template for logging your contacts. And even if it's a park to park, you just put the park to park, the park ID in there. And if it's more than one park to park, some operators operate from 3 or 4 parks depending upon where they are. You just put a comma and then you put the next park number, and when you hit save, it then generates 2 different loggings for the 2 different parks. So even though you're only in 1 park, the other operator is in 2 parks, so it's really 2 contacts. It's a great app.
Oh, glad you said that. I was wondering about that. I actually was going out and doing each log individually. I didn't realize that's such a great shortcut. Park, comma, and then boom. Nice.
Yeah, it really is a great app. People, have had issues with it over the years, but I'm pretty sure it's really stable now, and I use it on a daily basis.
Yeah. And then we have Adam, who says, in my opinion, when you are operating SOTA or POTA, and I would add any real program, you are an ambassador to the hobby and sharing when others are interested. I'm not quite sure. Sharing when others are interested in is an important part of that. Okay. So what he's saying is your most important part is you're an ambassador, and so you got to share what you're doing and make it fun for everybody.
Yep. Think about
Absolutely.
What you might
totally agree with that.
Think about what you might say to an individual who just happens to walk up and doesn't understand what you're doing. Think about what you would say as far as being a ham radio operator and coupling that with your enjoyment of this particular activity, whether it's POTA, SOTA, Islands on the Air, whatever it is, to maybe it'll help bring up some interest for that person to maybe get involved. A lot of people enjoy the outdoors, and they're always looking for other things to couple with that interest.
Yeah. And then Mike says, I'm planning on doing my first SOTA POTA 2 the weekend of September 10th to 11th, which is when the ARRL September VHF contest is. Well, good luck on that. I don't think you'll have much trouble because VHF is not used that often with POTA. Is that right, Brian? Is VHF used?
Yeah, I think it's primarily an HF thing, but there are plenty of people that do bring HTs with them to the park, because another one of the awards that you can win is you could if you activate a park on 10 different bands. So if you activate 10 parks on 10 different bands, then they have an award for that as well, which encourages you to not just stay on one band all the time. Obviously you need to do 80, 20, 40, 17, 15, and then 2 meters, 70 centimeter. I mean, activating a park on 10 bands is quite a feat.
Okay, Brian, I think we're at the end here. Actually, over time just a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Let's just step back for just a minute and give you an opportunity. Is there anything at all that you would like to share with the viewing audience that we didn't talk about here? Is there anything any passion you have, or any great advice, or just anything that comes to mind that you want to share with the group?
I think that advice would be to, align yourself with some of your local activators as well. I'm fortunate enough here to have a great network of portable operators. I'm a member of the Fair Lawn Amateur Radio Club. They're based out of New Jersey, but I'm close enough to the New Jersey border to join. And we have a great group of portable activators. We're in constant communication with each other, always trying to get together to go out and activate. So I would suggest, trying to, get together with your local activators, even if it's just to hang out and pass the mic at the park. But you're going to encourage more people to want to join you and encourage more people to get out and be portable.
All right, cool. And then Dan, let's wrap it up here. If anything else you want to add, and anything you want to say your goodbyes or whatever to Brian, and I'll do the same, and we'll wrap it up here.
All right, great. Thanks, Brian, for coming on the show today. I learned a whole lot of other things about POTA that I didn't really realize, and just like to make the comment that if you enjoy getting out and you enjoy amateur radio, give Parks on the Air a try.
And I would also agree with both of you. And let me just pull this up here real quick. Mike says, great stream. I hope to catch you all on the air soon. N2MAK. Mike, thank you so much. This is really appreciated, the $10. I appreciate that. And then Kevin says, great show, Charlie. Thanks for sharing, Brian. And I appreciate it too. I would say, Brian, it was such a pleasure to meet you in person when you came out. I was so happy to be able to do that activation with you there at Lost Dutchman State Park. It was a fun one. I've been back since several times. That was the first Parks on the Air only activation I ever did, was that one with you. And since then I've done more, but it got me out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I was happy to do it. So, and then of course, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I think it's been very helpful to people, and you have a wealth of knowledge, and not more important than that, you're just a great guy and a great for the community. So I appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me, Charlie, and really, thank you for all you did for me when I was out in Arizona and getting me on the air. It was, that's just proof of the, the portable operators sticking together, doing whatever we can to, help each other get on the air, whether it's somebody locally or somebody from out of state that's visiting on vacation. And I will never forget that.
No problem. All right, stick around. We're going to end the stream, but stick around and we'll chat just a little bit afterwards. Thanks, everybody, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.